Number 6, presentation by the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department on the new flock camera system.
Thank you, Mayor. So we're going to have Lieutenant Al Huff from the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. He's going to come up and he is going to give a presentation on what these devices do and how they can benefit a community.
Mayor Pro Tem, congratulations, by the way. Council, thank you for having me here today. So today I'm going to go over a couple things, and the priority today is present you a little information on the flock camera system. So a couple things that I'll be presenting today. Are basically the mission and vision statement of the Sheriff's Department, how the Sheriff's Department uses innovation and technology to provide quality services, using flock as a necessary tool or an industry standard to achieve what we're trying to actually accomplish with our department. A couple success stories that we've already utilized, a couple success stories using this system, the data from this system. And finally, what I'll do is I'll bring up Jesse Mund, who is the account manager for flock, who is actually partnering with us, the town of Yucca Valley, and obviously the city of 29 for this project.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, thanks for having me. Lieutenant Huff asked me to come up today to give just a quick overview of the flock system, kind of who we are as a company, what we do. As you saw in our mission statement, we are a technology company based out of Atlanta, Georgia. We've been working in the state of California for nearly 5 years now. The goal is public safety is a right, and the focus is to involve the entire community to keep the community safe. So what we're looking at here is a general paradox across the country. In essence, law enforcement has less manpower, less resources, and an increasing population. So they're looking for methods and mechanisms and technology that can help them ethically and to do so objectively, help them resolve cases faster to provide a safer community for everyone. So next slide, please. So a couple things about the company and our mission statement. You know, the technology multiplies the force. We want to do this objectively. We do not want to have subjective data, subjective evidence, and engaging the community support as we grow. So our tools are available to the public sector, to the private sector, and to commercial businesses across the country. Next slide, please. Today we're particularly going to talk about the Falcon camera, which is our automatic license plate reading camera. This camera is designed to capture license plates as they drive through an intersection. So it is a camera that is sitting on a pole that is pointed at the roadway. So as vehicles drive through, it takes a still image of the rear of the vehicle. That is designed to then run through a basic machine learning algorithm that says, hey, that is a white Ford truck, and the license plate is California 123456. What happens then is it's analyzed by a state list from the California DOJ to see if that vehicle is involved in a known crime. If it is, it will proactively alert the sheriff's office. If it is not, that data is stored for the sheriff's retention period of 365 days, and it is then deleted. So there's a lot of policy around that I'm sure the Sheriff's Department can talk to about how to use and access the software, but the long and the short, that is how it works. Next slide, please. Next slide. So these devices that the Sheriff's Office and I have been working on for the city would be infrastructure free, meaning they will not utilize any city assets. So beyond potentially strapping a camera and a solar panel to a pole, we're not looking to utilize power. We're not connecting to the city's network. The Sheriff's Office already has access to the platform, so these cameras would just become part of their network that they're utilizing already. So really important to understand what flock is, and part of our ethical approach is objective. And part of that is understanding what it does not do. So there is no PII in Flock. We do not connect to a third-party database like the DMV database. Like, we don't know who or what or is in those vehicles. This is strictly the rear of a vehicle with a license plate. So there's no facial recognition. They're not used for speed monitoring. There's no parking enforcement. These are strictly designed to help law enforcement find vehicles of interest. Next slide, please. The proactive side is those real-time alerts. So whether that's an Amber Alert, we're tied into the NCMEC for missing children. So that updates in real time. So if there's a vehicle that is wanted for an Amber Alert, it will notify the sheriff's office in real time. Or vehicles that are wanted either by the sheriff's office directly or by another law enforcement agency, it can send them that proactive notification. The investigative side is if they are searching for a vehicle of interest, they can search by those parameters I outlined, white Ford truck at a certain time frame, ideally to then get the license plate and then use other law enforcement investigative tools to learn about that vehicle of interest. So, and over time, those devices do act as a deterrent, right? People understand if they come to 29 Palms to commit crime, they get caught. So ideally, they stop coming. Go ahead. So the accountability mechanisms, really the sheriff's office can talk about policy. There is a very in-depth policy for the sheriff's office. In essence, they can only search the system with a valid reason, case file, incident report, information of that nature. And once again, just highlighting they're not connected to third-party databases. This is not for parking enforcement or tolls, and there's no facial recognition in the software. Go ahead. So, very fascinating case. This gentleman here was impersonating a priest, and he was out of New York originally. They caught on to him in the Houston metro area as this gentleman, they found him, found the vehicle of interest. And I think the fascinating thing here, the law enforcement component of these guys working together, they found him and arrested him in Riverside County in Moreno Valley. So that is how these kind of collaborative tools work together and help resolve this case that originated in New York, traveled all the way to Houston, Texas, and then they were out here to victimize our churches in California, and they apprehended him before he was able to do so. They actually caught the guy at a church in Moreno Valley. So, very fascinating case. Next slide, please. Another one, I think, as a parent, every parent's nightmare, a stranger-on-stranger abduction in Chamblee, Georgia. The Amber Alert was issued. All they knew was a red Acura SUV. Based on the time and parameters, they found the vehicle of interest. They found the license plate. They found the vehicle 80 miles away, and the child was back with their parents within 6 hours. So really the upsides, the downsides, but with that, I'll turn it back to the sheriff's office unless council or the mayor or anyone has any questions.
Council questions?
Real quick, because you said 365 days, everything will be deleted, but then on one slide it said 30 days.
Yeah, I apologize. The sheriff's policy is 365 days, so that is the length of
Okay.
time that the sheriff's
Thank you.
department keeps the data.
So what happens when somebody goes through that thing like 10 times a day, like I would probably? Is
Nothing.
mine taking a picture every time and it's put in there 10 times?
That's it. So just, unless they're doing a specific search, that data sits there and then gets deleted at the retention
Okay.
period automatically. So there's no way to get around that. When it's deleted, it's gone.
Thank you for that presentation. I think it's very important that, in our city, we value public safety. And I think it's very important that we're looking at things like this. I do have concerns about privacy, though, in regards to, holding that information in terms of like maybe potential hacking, or how do you guys prevent those type of things from happening? I know it doesn't store the information like social security numbers and stuff like that, but anybody that has if you could, it's easy to find somebody just by looking at their license plate number. So that's enough information, right?
If you were to go look out on the road and see a car with a license plate, would that tell you much?
Yeah, that's a good
I
point.
mean, at that point, the sheriff's office has other investigative tools and databases that they use to find information about that vehicle. So, in essence, this is no more than a sheriff's deputy standing on the corner taking information about the vehicles with the time they're passing, to be searched at a later point in time if it qualifies for a policy-driven reason to do so.
Yeah, thank you for that, because I mean, I did have some, some issues with information being stored. So you've clarified that, and I appreciate that. One thing that I think that's happened in this community is that people come from, the lower end of down below, and they come up here and they commit crimes, and then they go back down 62. And so maybe a system like this is going to be able to help us.
Public, anything? Nope. Back up here. Thank you.
Welcome.
You're good?
I should have a little presentation though. It should pop up here in a minute. I'm glad you put that one up first though. That worked out well. Nobody knows. Nope. No, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. Should be that one right there. There we go. All right. Welcome again. My name is Lieutenant Huff with the Morongo Basin Sheriff Station. I oversee the day-to-day overall operations of the Sheriff Station, which covers the unincorporated areas of the Morongo Basin, City of 29 Palms, and Yucca Valley. As you all know, we cover a vast area, the largest in the county, approximately 2,700 square miles, with just a handful of deputies. Our deputies are definitely tasked. So, with our department, between our mission and our vision statement, is to provide collaborative law enforcement solutions. Obviously, delivering quality to our community and professional services to the largest county in the country. And our vision is to be a professional organization that provides quality services and innovative programs to the community it serves. And innovation is, being a long-time employee with the Sheriff's Department, I'm glad we're finally starting to get a little innovative. So, how do we achieve providing quality services through innovative programs? Maximizing use of limited personnel. And so when we talk about maximizing the use of our limited personnel, number one, which is in my belief, that victims have been forgotten in law enforcement. They absolutely have. The victims, in my belief, and every partner that I work with, and the sheriff, the victims have to be number one priority in our community. Second is target-specific enforcement. Since we do not have the resources to utilize in various different areas, we have to provide specific enforcement for specific tasks and areas of responsibility. Okay. This gets into our areas of responsibility. We have investigations, our traffic division, community-oriented policing, and our school resource officers. So without these specific areas of responsibility, it would make our job much more difficult. However, as previously mentioned, we have limited personnel, not only in 29 Palms, but the entire Morongo Basin. So, regardless of the amount of miles that our deputies are traveling each day. Technical and transformational ideologies. As previously mentioned, I'm glad our department is really getting big on innovation. And one of the ways that we can really get big in innovation is the use of the flock camera system. Augmenting this technology and the equitable and fair use of this technology is what's going to provide extreme public safety to our community. As previously mentioned, this is a critical and necessary tool. It is an industry standard, and it's used in nearly every sheriff's jurisdiction that we have. In addition, with our sheriff's jurisdictions, there's several adjoining counties that are actually utilizing the system. Riverside County, Los Angeles County, Orange County, San Diego County, and our brothers to the north in Clark County, Nevada. So obviously my biggest thing is obviously results, data and results driven. So the Sheriff's Department, currently the Morongo Basin, we do not have any cameras, any flock camera systems set up in our area. So as Councilman Scott made mention to, is that we have a lot of crime that occurs in our jurisdiction from people that live outside of the jurisdiction. In addition, we have even more crime that occurs within our jurisdiction from local residents and community members. The issue is, from the Sheriff's Department perspective, is that we do not have any data on this. We do not have any data to be able to track any crime trends or track any incidents that occur as expedient as we would if we were in Riverside County or LA County or San Diego County. So with that being said, we do have access, as Jesse Munn made mention to, is the platform, which is basically a database that we can actually research, you know, explicit or specific types of vehicles that were in the area during the commission of a crime. Unfortunately, with us, we don't have that specific database that will expedite everything in solving crime. So I want to talk about, I've got four little success stories that we have here, just from our deputies, and we have dozens more. Okay, so in November of 2023, you can click it again. There was a triple murder that occurred in Riverside County. Suspect fled from the murder. He carjacked an elderly female, took her hostage, and the suspect fled up towards our other high desert up in Hesperia. Hesperia, they have a similar unit to Flock, but it's not Flock. However, we got some information on some vehicle descriptions. Luckily, they entered that information and located a possible vehicle, okay? And they were able to track the last known location and direction of travel that this vehicle was traveling. Shortly thereafter, probably about 45 minutes after that, our deputies, our Morongo Basin deputies, utilizing their Flock platform app, they located the vehicle. They got in a pursuit. Our aviation got involved, and unfortunately, there was a big shootout with our deputies and the suspect. Fortunately, neither our deputies or the suspect was injured, and we were able to successfully and safely rescue the elderly hostage. And that was solely from running a license plate. So, check. I added that on the little as most of you may remember, we had a missing Chinese national, Feng Jin. You can hit click again. So this is one of the instances where having the access to this system, instead of recovering the remains, her remains, and Mr. Fitzpatrick's remains, we would have actually probably made a rescue on both of these parties. So this occurred back in July of 2023. I think mostly everybody's kind of familiar with this case. There was nothing critical about her missing. I was talking back and forth with the Chinese consulate. There was something suspicious. She wasn't returning any phone calls and whatnot. Coming to find out, her phone was off. She wasn't getting any reception. Well, so we went ahead and entered her as a missing person. After about 3 weeks, we were investigating. This was our priority case at the time. Was this the Jen, who was missing. We identified Fitzpatrick, and unfortunately, after 3 weeks, we were able to identify his vehicle. Number one, we were able to identify him. We were able to identify his vehicle and license plate. We entered that vehicle in Flock, and unfortunately, we were about 3 weeks late. Flock automatically gave us basically their direction of travel everywhere they were going, and then they ended up in the Anza-Borrega Desert, where they ended up getting stuck. Unfortunately, they were stuck out in the desert and both succumbed to natural causes. So this is something where time is of the essence, and having critical data, critical technology to help us with our investigations, we would definitely be rescuing these folks versus a recovery. I think everybody here is familiar with the Dollar Tree. Unfortunately, the Dollar Tree, as Councilman Scott was just mentioning, this is exactly what we're talking about, or exactly what you were talking about having out-of-towners coming up to the Morongo Basin committing crime. Well, detectives investigated a string of burglaries at Dollar Trees in both Yucca Valley and out here in 29 Palms. After several of these burglaries, they were able to capture, one of our deputies was able to review through surveillance and actually found the lone vehicle that was traveling in the early morning. So what they went ahead and did is they entered the description of that vehicle into the Flock system for possible matches on license plates. Within minutes, our detectives told us they identified the vehicle, got a license plate, used other law enforcement databases, and actually identified the suspect using the Flock system. So our deputies and detectives, they executed several search warrants in San Bernardino County, Riverside County, and LA County. Got about 6 suspects in custody and recovered over $150,000 in merchandise. So we all know when we have this kind of crime, unfortunately, we feel the effects of crime, as a community. The final one that I'm sure everybody is very familiar with, and this is probably information that a lot of people don't know about the line fire and the bridge fire. So with this, on September 5th, San Bernardino County deputies responded to a brush fire in the city of Highland. Obviously, fire here, that's very familiar with this one as well. The fire spread critically fast, and which was dubbed the line fire. A few days later, LA County deputies responded to a fire in Angeles Forest. During the Highland incident, there was a community member that was kind of driving through the area, and I didn't even know. I don't have a Tesla. I didn't even know these things record. I think they record more than Flock does, actually. But it actually captured a vehicle, a truck, in the far distance. So our Highland detectives, utilizing that description of the video that was actually captured from the Tesla, he was actually able to identify the truck. And they got that truck in LA County and then back down towards Riverside County. So obviously the registered owner was identified through the vehicle license plate. He was located and arrested. And we know the cause of this fire was tremendous. Over 120 vehicles, 90 homes, and 120,000 acres burned. And figuratively speaking, $110 million in damages. Solely from a single camera entering 7 digits in this Flock system, we were able to get the suspect in custody. So that's tremendous. That's tremendous. So I'll go ahead and end this here. A couple takeaways from this. Obviously, utilizing technology in this Flock system is going to maximize our response to any incident. And as we know, exigency is a key factor. Our priority, every deputy's priority that's out there on the street, is the safety of the community. And this tool will definitely aid in protecting that community. And of course, to provide quality service utilizing industry standard innovation while being fiscally conservative. So, and that is the flock system. I will say though, years ago, I was part of another camera system, actually in the city of Highland, and comparing the two systems here, it is between dial-up and analog. I mean, it's night and day difference between the two systems, and we have many more search capabilities than we do with some of the current systems that we have. So, like I said, we have dozens of other stories, but I do believe that if the city invests in its community, they invest in this flock system, we will see crime rates go down in a safer community. So, any questions?
Council questions?
I can bring Jesse back up for the questions. So, okay.
Public? Nope. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So Lieutenant Huff, did you just, oh, looks like we have one person.
ahead.
Ms. Astrid? Can you go up to the microphone there?
No, I think this is a great idea. I know some people were worried about privacy, but I'm thinking of like the Amber Alerts, of all of the cases that we hear about with trafficking, human trafficking, that this, and we're in a corridor area, which we probably all know by now, that this would really be another tool for everybody to protect especially the human trafficking that's going on, the child trafficking, I don't know, the sex trafficking is just horrible. But, consider this. I think it's well worth the money.
Thank you.
Can I, or do we?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I actually agree that this is something that could really be really advantageous to our community and really help to lower the crime rates here. I think the important part of this as we introduce this or consider to introduce this into our community is that, our outreach is, we're letting the community know what this is, because I can imagine that there might be people who are thinking some of the things that I might have thought about privacy concerns. And so, as a city and as a sheriff department, how do we articulate that to the public in a way that shows the positivity of this program? Thank you.
Absolutely, and if I may, Councilman Scott, you're 100% correct, and I think that's probably the biggest trepidation behind the system. But understanding how the system works, it is our job to explain the whys and the hows and why we utilize this type of system. So I know we do have the support of Chairmember Rowe. She is actually funding unincorporated areas within the Morongo Basin for this system as well, which is good. And then also the town of Yucca Valley, we're going to be doing our presentation with them here shortly as well. So like Astrid just said, this corridor here, it's a tremendous corridor between here and Arizona, between here, mountains, everywhere. And it's very important that we add this to Highway 62 and adjoining areas, protect our commercial districts as well, our small business owners who definitely are impacted by, burglaries and retail thefts and whatnot.
So Lieutenant Huff, in terms of the cost, what is this stereotypical cost? What does that look like? How is this funded? And then when do you think this could be implemented within the city?
That was about 6 questions, but I'm going to try to get to each of them. So the typical cost per camera system is $2,500, $3,300. So the biggest thing is obviously being fiscally conservative, like I previously mentioned. So in order to purchase the purchase of the system will not have any fiscal impact to the city whatsoever. We will be using state-provided local law enforcement supplemental funds. These are funds that come directly from the state that are utilized explicitly for frontline law enforcement services, which this falls under. And I'm sure I missed one of your
No,
other
that
questions.
was great. And then, so is there anything that you need from council in order for this to proceed, or is this just something that if the council gives you general support, then you can go ahead and on your own timeline, implement this in our community?
I would love for it to be in effect tomorrow, so I've got Jesse here now, but obviously we are going to present our staff report for funding of this, utilizing our LISA account.
So less the funds. Okay, so then the council can expect to see this coming back in January?
I was hoping sooner than that,
Okay, very good. Let's see.
but yes, January.
Very good. Thank you so much. That's all that I have.
Question? Yes.
Hi, I would like to see it implemented sooner as well. We were burglarized at our business last winter. So I was going to ask, how can we report it right away, or so that you can track it faster? And are we able to be a part of the locations that you're going to be putting these at?
Absolutely, those are great questions. So, as far as the locations go, myself and our staff and our traffic deputies, we conducted a ton of analysis, a ton of crime reporting analysis, and we found the major intersections that we are looking at to cover. So we basically have this broken down into 3 phases. The first phase, which is the primary phase, it actually covers nine intersections. Those intersections start from, I don't have them memorized off the top of my head, from the west on 60.
We have, if you want, we can pull up some the maps.
I have that.
So would you be able to go into that folder? And one of the first documents that you pulled up actually had small aerials. May be difficult. There you go.
So this is considered the first phase. There's actually
zoom in?
3 phases. The first phase is my primary phase, where I want to get the system established, and that's going to be directly off of Highway 62, and it'll be Lee to the west, and to the east it'll be Utah. So you'll see these 4 dots there. Those locations, actually the 5. Those are the intersections that are going to cover northbound traffic, southbound traffic, east and west. And these are the typical routes when we have crimes that are committed up a little bit in the northern area of 29 Palms. This is where they all come through. This is where all the... so, yes, Adobe as well. So if you see right here, right next to Lucky Park, which obviously I think a lot of people are very familiar with, that is one of
Yeah.
the community havens that we're
Yeah.
really trying to protect
70-inch screen, let's use
and
it.
keep crime free. So we actually have, for phase 1, we have intersections covered from 62 in Adobe all the way north to Indian Trail, all the way north to Indian Trail, intersections at Amboy Road and 2 Mile Road. So that is going to cover a very good majority of the commercial districts as well. So like I said, there's still phase 2, phase 3. I'd like to get this first phase going and then share the success and then present it back to council for the remaining phases.
I have a question real quick. If we can't get it back for council before you need that, could there be a letter written up and all the council members sign it as approving this for the city of Twin Palms?
That
And
would
then
be
it could
a
go
Brown
with
Act
them?
violation.
Huh?
That would be a Brown Act violation.
Right here? Well, it's on here as a presentation. Okay.
What if maybe we brought this back as a consent agenda item?
You could certainly put this on the December 5th,
10th.
10th
Yeah.
agenda as a consent item.
Consent.
It's consent, yeah.
I mean, you could put it on for a larger discussion if you want, but I think you've heard.
No, we're good. Consent, put on consent.
Very good. Okay.
Thank
Right.
you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Lieutenant Huff.